Hello everyone, welcome to another Weather Wednesday. We're going to give this another go on this windy Wednesday for some people here in the United States. I don't know about you, but I've noticed there have been several wind events over the last couple weeks, so I thought we would take some time to talk about wind and talk about some of those recent events. Now, we are trying this live session here at 9:45. What do you think of this time? Would you like to see our Weather Wednesday lives at another time? Please give us your comments. Let us know what time you would like us to see the Weather Wednesday live edition. Today, we are going to take a recap of what we've been talking about the last couple weeks. So first off, if you recall last week, we talked about the derecho event that hit Iowa. So you can see that radar event as it hits Iowa, Illinois, and all the way over to western part of Michigan here. You can see those clouds cause quite a bit of damage. Also, that weekend, the weekend right before that, there was a significant wind event associated with the California fires. In fact, it triggered a tornado warning. A tornado warning because of those strong winds, because the pyrocumulus cloud that was created from that event. You can see it right here, a big tornadic event because of those thunderstorms or the pyrocumulus cloud that was caused by the warming air as it rises up and starts twisting. So that forest fires is really tough to predict, and it's tough to put out because as that warm air rises, cool air rushes in to take its place. And forest fires, wildfires, they create their own weather events. And so here you can see the tornadic event right here, right there. Now one of the reasons that I wanted to point out to you guys or wanted to talk to you guys about wind is I've noticed that recently on the internet there have been several really interesting videos of the derecho event. If you go to Google or YouTube and you type in Midwest Derecho 2020, there are a number of really interesting videos out there demonstrating the power of that wind event. In fact, it was like a hurricane on land. The winds that people in Iowa and Illinois were facing were wind gusts up to 100 miles an hour, which is what you would see during a hurricane. Here over my shoulder, you can see that weather event going across here, and I'm going to kind of pause it and rock it back and forth so you guys can see how amazing this video is. So here is that frontal boundary right there of that thunderstorm. And look at this right here. If you can see that, that is that gust of wind that's being pushed out from that thunderstorm. And so as I progress this, you can see it literally be like a bulldozer and push the air in front of it. Now, what's happening that causes it to do that? Well, the thunderstorm, as it progresses, causes the rain to fall and condense and precipitate, and as that happens, it cools the air around it. And when that cool air, when the air gets cool, it becomes more dense and drops to the ground. Once it hits the ground, it pushes outward, and that creates this gust front right here. This thunderstorm activity, this thunderstorm was moving across the United States really quite fast. We're going to talk about another wind event that's coming up right now with the Hurricane Laura, and we just had Tropical Storm Marco as well. But let me bring up that satellite image of the United States here for just a moment, because I want to show you on August 10th when that derecho hit. Here is the system developing right here over the southeast part of South Dakota. And as it pushes across, creates that thunderstorm. But this moved across very, very fast. This thunderstorm traveled 770 miles in only about, well, let's say 11 hours. It's a little bit more than 11 hours, but that means it was traveling close to 70 miles an hour. That is what caused this traumatic wind event of this cool air pocket just dropping and pushing across the Midwest, which there aren't many geological features to get in the way. There's no mountains, no big mountains, no rivers or things to get in the way. So that is why that thunderstorm was able to cross the Midwest and really push a wall of air across it. Now, speaking of a wall of air and a wall of water, we have two hurricanes, or we've had two weather events going on over the last couple days. These weather events was named Tropical Storm Marco and Laura. And now Laura has developed into a hurricane and is tracking through the Gulf of Mexico right now towards the United States. Let's take a look at that on the live satellite image now. So back to our Science on a Sphere blue marble here, looking at the weather as it's going on. Here you can see, here are those two storms that are back to back. You got one here and you got one here. And as that progresses, this one, Marco, I'm sorry, here we go. Yep, that one, Marco, falls apart there, hits the panhandle of Florida, brings some pretty good moisture, didn't have too strong of winds to it, kind of fell apart there. But this next one right here has been forming. And as we progress through the day, we can see that once it hits the warm waters, once it's off the islands there of Cuba, it hits the warm waters and really has the energy to form. Thunderstorms need some ingredients, need some energy in order to keep going. Warm water, low wind shear, and that heat all combine to create a nice, a very strong storm system. And so as it's progressing, scientists are keeping a close eye on that system, and it looks like it's going to hit land right between the Texas and Louisiana border. Here is one more view of that in a different satellite image. This is the most advanced, most latest satellites, called GOES 16 and 17, or GOES East and West. And here is the most recent image on that one. And you can see it right there developing right before it makes landfall in Texas and Louisiana there. As it's coming along, it's pushing the air and pushing the water on land. And so that's called a storm surge. So residents along the coast were encouraged to evacuate in front of this strong storm that's progressing towards the United States. Now, it's not the only storm that is happening on the earth right now. What's kind of interesting is while the United States is being affected by a hurricane, there are other places around the world that are also being affected by the equivalent of a hurricane. Here in the Western Pacific, there's one called a typhoon, which is similar to a hurricane. It's just a different name. But here you can see this one is called Typhoon Bobby. And this one is a unique one in that it developed just north of Taiwan there, and it is going up through here and headed towards North Korea. Now you can see there's a lot of land. You've got China here, you've got Japan here to interfere with a hurricane or a typhoon going up there. So this is actually going to be only the second occurrence of North Korea getting a typhoon, hitting land as a typhoon status. You can see it's already starting to fall apart, but it is going to bring some strong winds and rain to North and South Korea there as it makes landfall. So there are a lot of weather events going on right now, and that's why we like to do this Weather Wednesday. What I'd like to get from you guys, though, is I want to show you how do we measure wind. Over my shoulder here, let me put this down for just a minute. Over my shoulder here is one of our weather stations. This is an example of a weather station here. Inside this compartment right here, you have a rain gauge, which collects rain and measures how much rain there is. Inside here is a thermometer and a barometer. A thermometer measures what the temperature is. Barometer measures the pressure. Here we have something that will transmit that signal to a computer, as well as on the face here, there is a ultraviolet detector to measure how strong the sun's rays are. Now at the top of this is a wind gauge called an anemometer. An anemometer measures how fast the wind travels. Now what I'd like you to do is I would like you to create a device that measures how fast the wind is traveling. So be thinking, what materials might you need to create something that could move, that can tell you how fast the wind is going. So take a picture of that wind capturing device and post it on one of our social media pages. We would love to see you do that. Now that reminds me of weather stations that I've seen around the neighborhood. Have you guys seen some weather stations? Here are just a couple more things I would like you guys to do. All right, here we go. First off, here's a weather station. Do you have one around your house? Maybe it's on your school. Maybe it's on a tall building. Maybe it's even on a telephone pole, or while you're hiking, you might see an example of a weather station. Take a picture of one, post it on our social media pages, and let us know where those weather stations are around your area. Another place I would like you to take a look at is earth.nullschool. I've mentioned this website before, but this is where you can go on the internet to watch the winds as they travel. Here is an image that was taken just yesterday of that Hurricane Laura as it's approaching the United States. And so you can see for yourself winds around the world. Here is another picture of that Typhoon Bobby as it's headed towards Korea there. So go on earth.nullschool.net for yourself and see what the winds are like around your area. Well, I've talked long enough. I think that's it for today. I do want to encourage you guys to follow us on our social media pages. We want to hear from you. If you have a weather question, post those on our social media page. I gave you an assignment. Take a look around for weather stations. Take a picture and share that with us. Also, try to create a wind gauge of your own. It's called an anemometer. And if you want more hands-on activities, check out our webpage at discoverspace.org. We're going to be launching a new program here soon called the Home Study Program, where every Wednesday we're going to have hands-on activities. Some of those are going to be virtual, so that you guys, no matter where you're at, you can follow us and you can do it at your own home. So check that out on discoverspace.org and let us know what you think about our ongoing Weather Wednesdays. We look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you for joining me on today's delayed but live